The following program contains violence, disturbing imagery, nudity, and the program is rated TV MA NSFW OMFG GAF TTV BYGAS. It is unsafe for epileptics. It kills lab rats. This show came out of the dark recesses. Seriously, don't watch this. We can't warn you strongly enough.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of 3 Geeks Flix. This is a 3 Geeks Flix Geeked movie review, if you all want to know what geeked means, for none other than Deadpool. As always, though, I'm joined by the Muse, Justin Kyle. Say hello everyone, Justin.
Hello everyone.
Yes, and I am the Tech, Mitchell Wright. So, first off, as I always do, I'm going to defer to the Muse and say, Justin, give it to me.
Okay, so overall,
Mm-hmm.
you had seen this yesterday, right?
Yep, and then again today.
And then again today, right?
Indeed.
So then there's been a lot of hype because, you and I are in the movie space, so we watch reviews, we do a lot of research, more than the average person, I would
Indeed.
say. Considering all the reviews I've seen, the videos from the sources I trust, as well as mainly what you said. You didn't give anything away, but just kind of like, you hinted at the quality of it. And mainly the marketing campaign, it wasn't really, I wasn't skeptical, especially after all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I like the marketing campaign, especially the trailers, because if you watch the trailers now, which we reviewed the trailers.
Oh, absolutely.
What you saw in the trailers is what you got, pretty much. So if you laughed your ass off at the trailers, if you thought the trailers were awesome, you're gonna love the movie, essentially. Overall review. Very, very good. Still the best marketed movie I've probably ever seen. Ever.
Alright, I can agree. To go over the cast, as we normally do, Ryan Reynolds is Wade Wilson, or Deadpool. Ed Scarron was Ajax, or Francis Freeman. Stefan Kapicic, he was the voice of Colossus, but not the body or the face. Brianna Hildebrandt was Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Going down the list a little bit, TJ Miller was Weasel. And of course, Morena Baccarin was Vanessa. And yes, she was. Jed Ress was the recruiter, or as Wade always joked, Jared with Subway. Gina Carano was indeed Angel Dust. Leslie Uggams was Blind Al, his roommate, the blind black lady. And of course, Stan Lee made the cameo in the strip club as the DJ. And that's pretty much who I'm going to talk about. Of course, directed by Tim Miller, or An Overpaid Tool, if you've seen the movie already. And produced by Asshats. Cast was fantastic in this movie. As far as I go, I don't feel like anybody underperformed. I don't feel like anybody drugged the movie down. well done, well played. Like I said, Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. He will be Deadpool. There will be Deadpool 2. And I forgot to warn folks, there's no teasers in this. This is full-on spoilers, so just turn it off now and wait till later, or and continue watching. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where I lie on it. The cast was great. Muse?
The cast was great. I like how, now the guy that played Francis, apparently he was in Game of Thrones, which I haven't watched. I've watched the first season of Game of Thrones.
Right.
Game of Thrones is legendary at this point, as far as television goes. And Marina, is that her name?
Marina Baccarin.
She has a lot of geek cred, Firefly. And then she was in what was that show about the aliens? The Visitors. The Visitors.
I believe so.
She's got a lot of geek cred at this point. Besides that, and also T.J. Miller. T.J. Miller.
Just
you look at the guy and you start laughing. Ryan Reynolds was out of the amazing cast.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Reynolds was still the best casting they could have made.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
Everyone universally is saying, and it's the same quote if you hear it from everyone, he was born to play this.
Oh, absolutely.
It's really hard to argue against that, especially after he, pretty much championed it for 6 years, and it took over, he said, I think 10 years to make, or he was working on it for 10 years, but what a great cast.
Oh, absolutely. Visually, sir, what is your take?
Visually. So I think, I want to say I heard that the budget, if I remember correctly, it was $110 million. Is that correct?
Somewhere around there. I'd have to troll around to find it, but I think that's close to accurate.
You can tell that it wasn't as big as, like $150 million budget. They had pretty much, from what I remember, like one huge CG shot. It was when the actual thing was falling, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is not a complaint.
No.
Visually, it was good. It was good visually.
Oh yeah. They did everything and more they could with it, but yet they somewhat poked fun at themselves and everything, especially with the whole X-Men. It's like, it's a big house. I only ever see two of y'all. It's like the studio couldn't afford another X-Men. I was like,
right.
That's awesome.
Right. Visuals, since we're talking about this, is visuals as well as the action. It was good, but it's not the thing that stole the show for me at all. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
If I were to compare it,
it was the performances, if you ask me.
It was the performances as well as the writing. Yeah, pretty much. Visually, I was thinking it's not. Again, you have to consider their budget at the time and, their restrictions. But I would compare it to back in the day, 2009's, I think it's 2009, X-Men Wolverine, the first one. That's about as far as visually, as far as, mass scale, things like that.
Right. Agree. I think we're both in agreement on that as far as visuals were good. Were fun. They were great. They weren't, straight up blockbuster Avatar, but hey, no complaints whatsoever on this end as well. Music. Dude, I love how they threw in, Careless Whisper, God, and, what else? What was the song at the end where he was laying there looking at her, and all those little animated creatures came on? I cannot think of the name of it.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. That was perfect.
But those were all great. And then at the beginning, "You're my angel, you're my..." I mean, that was hilarious. What a way to start a movie, especially like that. Is just real lighthearted, no couth, no care, and all those scenes to that song. Nothing else could have pulled it off.
That's right. So this is going to, I think, we know this is going to be a franchise, and
Oh yeah.
We were talking about the action just a second ago. We know, spoiler alert, that they're going to have a sequel, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I am pretty sure it was estimated, it was projected to make around 60 to 75 million opening weekend, and I know a lot of, particularly John Schnepp, he's one of my favorite reviewers.
Mm-hmm.
He has a bet going that it will break 100 million.
I think
I
so.
agree with them. I agree
think
with
so.
them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So once it does that, hopefully it does that, the sequel is going to have a lot better budget. Now, when that happens, I think this franchise is going to rival Guardians of the Galaxy for having the best source music soundtracks for a long time. You know what I mean? I enjoyed the soundtrack as much, and it was just as fitting as Guardians of the Galaxy, which that is living up to a champion right there.
Oh yeah, and I mean, like I said, they placed Salt and Peppa's shoot perfectly in the movie. DMX's X Gonna Give It To You, which was played throughout the trailers, was spot on and at a great point in the story.
Right.
And I can't wait. Like I said, I can't wait for Deadpool 2.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Well, anything else on your mind, sir?
I like how I one of the things that I really liked was, as funny as it was, you still saw Ryan Reynolds' talent when he had to play it serious. I mean, that's one of the cool things that I've never really got into Deadpool. I've never, to be honest, before this, I've never read any comics. I've never played the video games. But I know he has a cult following. And then I've, ever since we've been talking about this, and recently I've been researching it and watching videos on it and stuff like that. But like,
Right, stop that. Silly.
Apparently, he even when he in the movie when he was getting tortured, he was making jokes and smack talking the whole time. It's only when he's by himself that you see he actually he does have a really serious side, but he tries to hide it through comedy. That's one of the things that Ryan Reynolds says that he identified with Deadpool, and it shows especially in those scenes. When he's in the bathroom and he's trying to talk himself up to go talk to his girl.
Right.
When he's walking down the street, whenever he finds out that his girl got kidnapped and he starts breaking shit.
You should be shamed.
whenever that phone starts ringing, he's like, "Turn that off. It's gonna piss me off." Oh man, it was so funny, man. It was so funny. This was, I think, hands down, this movie's funnier than Guardians of the Galaxy. I haven't laughed this hard at a superhero movie ever.
This is by far, this for me has to be Ryan Reynolds' best performance since Van Wilder.
Do you even know what you just said?
Van Wilder was a role born and made for him, and now Deadpool is a role born and made for him, and like he said, he wants to play Deadpool for the rest of his life and continue doing those movies, and I absolutely hope he does.
Yeah, we've talked about the studios are starting to get smarter and smarter, because you can tell from the opening credits all the way to the ending credits, this movie was made by a comic book fan, by a Deadpool fan. Only people that passionate about it will put that much thought into it. You told me about the opening credits, and I kind of figured where they were going with it, but still, even overall chronologically with the story, it was really, really, really good.
Oh yeah, and I love that they didn't use anybody's name. That was awesome, and especially when they were produced by asshats, and what was it? It was starring God's favorite or God's favorite or most talented idiot or something like that.
Right.
And
right.
And of course,
a hot chick or
yeah.
A CGI character. Yeah.
And then I love it whenever the directed by an overpaid tool.
Right.
Even Tim Miller, these guys all had a deep tie to Deadpool and the whole idea of the franchise. And the smartest thing 20th Century Fox ever did was let them do what they wanted to do and kept their hands off of it.
Right, and I'm glad you said that, because this movie, I mean, the reality of this movie was it was a huge risk.
Yeah.
If it's a hard R rated superhero movie with a minimum budget that a lot of people don't know. I mean, and to do the character justice, I think it would scare a lot of multi-million-dollar executives, right? Because their bottom marker is dollars. But I mean, it's starting. I think the studios are starting to wise up as far as that, like what we really, really wanted.
Well, and the thing is now, is with all the social media and everything out there and all the technology, the fans have a bigger voice.
Right.
And the fact that these teasers and teaser trailers and trailers and everything come out in TV spots, there's a lot of exposure for a movie now that can make or break whether a fan shows up to the theater or not. You know,
right.
It's like, you know, especially a lot of geeks and whatnot, they're like, you know, am I actually going to go spend the money and go see this once or twice? Or am I just going to, you know, go sit down and plop my ass in my chair and go look it up on a BitTorrent or something?
That escalated quickly.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. And we actually just saw that. We think we just saw that. We're pretty sure we just saw that with the latest Batman v Superman trailer. We are pretty sure that was a reaction to the cluster that was trailer 3. You know what I mean?
Warner Brothers is a little freaked out right now.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother story, folks.
And now for something completely
Right.
different.
All right. Well, given all that, what is your number, sir? I want a number.
Now, this is tough. This is kind of tough. I respect this movie as much as I enjoyed it. So, is this in my personal? And the thing is, like, you know, my favorite superhero characters. Deadpool was not one of them. Like, even near the top. I get the appeal.
Yeah.
I understand all of it. Like, I understand he's really, really cool, and he talks a lot of smack. He's funny as hell. He breaks the fourth wall. He's done things that other ones haven't. He's not even probably in my top 5.
And he broke the fourth wall very well. It was all well done.
Very well. Yeah, very well. He broke a fourth wall inside of a fourth wall.
That's like a 16th wall.
So, like, let's say he was like my Batman, right? This would be a 10. But it's not. So this is not, because of that, logically, it's not my favorite superhero movie of all time. I do respect it. I respect the hell of it. It's probably in my top 5 respected. So I'm going to give this movie a 9.
Oh, 9. All right.
And that it also means, when I say that, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that also means after everything we just talked about, as far as, you know, everything we just talked about, the biggest reason why it's a 9, forgetting all of that stuff that we respect, the bottom line and the foundation was the overall just entertainment from the movie.
Okay. I've got to give it a 10. It's done things other movies have not done in this genre and in many genres, especially with the breaking the fourth wall in such an epic manner, the poking fun at itself, the comedy, the action, pulling off what it pulled off with a budget, fans pioneering behind it, Ryan Reynolds heading that up, Tim Miller, the director, getting in there and doing what he wanted to do and keeping it true to the idea. And for one, a studio, especially as big as 20th Century Fox, finally stepping out of the way, keeping their hands off, and giving us a movie that fans wanted to see and knew could be out there. Did it do some groundbreaking visual thing? No. Did it do some groundbreaking sound? No, not really, but the music was just spot on awesome.
Right.
But as far as the performances and the story and the writing have made this movie for me, and that is why it's a 10 in my book.
Right. You kept throwing around the word groundbreaking a lot. There were some things that were groundbreaking about this movie, mainly the marketing. The marketing could be considered groundbreaking, because I see in the future a lot of people taking note, from the marketing on this.
Yeah.
There were some things that I would consider groundbreaking.
I mean, the whole being able to break the fourth wall and doing it so well, and having moments of humor, but then turning around and have moments that were very serious.
Right.
And not feeling like it makes the movie out of touch, or it's just a complete disconnect from the story itself. It flowed, man. It flowed. Right. It was on. It was there. It was exciting. You were laughing. You were smiling. You you were watching, you were into it, and there wasn't a dull moment. And
Right.
it's a 10 for me. And it will.
Yeah, another thing that you could say it was groundbreaking is, can you name another superhero movie that has been as true to the comic book as this one has? Any other movie?
That would be
I'm talking about character.
That would be very few and far between as far as character and story go.
Even the costume, man. The costume, I mean, besides Iron Man, that would be one that's like spot on. But even, I mean, Marvel and their truity, I think even to Tony Stark, isn't, this was, he was Deadpool 100% in spades.
Mm-hmm.
More than I would say any other character we've seen.
Oh, yeah. And as far as that goes, a lot of the other franchises kind of tone it down a little bit. This one, it gave it to you raw, and then that's
right.
what it needed to be.
You're right. They tone it down, and this one should have been the one that toned it down, but it turned it all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
It turned up the middle finger.
It went to 11.
That's correct. Yeah.
No. Anything else, sir?
That is it. That is it.
Well, that is it on my end. There you have, folks, is your Deadpool movie review Geeked from 3 Geeks Flix. Want again, thank you for tuning in. Check us out on Facebook, 3 Geeks Flix. Y'all mostly know that by now. Also on YouTube, where you watch all this. Again, 3 Geeks Flix. Give us a like. Hit the subscribe button. Don't be afraid to leave a comment. Let us know what you think. We like feedback. We want to talk back to you. We do this because of you. We enjoy this, well, because of the movies, but because you enjoy watching as well. Regardless of what we may say, I don't care if you watch, but please do watch.
Please watch this.
Yes. Epic quotes from the Muse, ladies and gentlemen, in rare form. Alright, folks, well, that is it for the night. But as I always say, stay tuned to the glow of those monitors. So we're going to catch you next time. Good night. Can you do that?
Yeah. Nice.
I'm a dinosaur.
Never gonna dance again. Feet got no rhythm.
I was gonna be like, oh, maybe it's better this way. No. Never gonna dance again. These guilty feet up. That sounds horrible. Wow. Though it's easy to pretend, no, you're not a fool. I should've known. Ass.
Are you ready?
Oh, you fuck. I don't know, are you ready? Apparently not. He just walked off. And, I spent a lot of cold, dark nights in that room. That was the first time I have paint.
Huh?
Nothing.
I'm gonna put on a hat, I think.
Yeah, you can change your whole wardrobe there. Because you look like we're getting ready to film an episode of Blue's Clues with that green shirt.
You wanna see my Tom Cruise impression?
Sure. Figured you were gonna start jumping on the furniture or something.
No.
Trying to sell me on Scientology.
I get the feeling if I made a joke on him on our 16 subscribed YouTube channel, he'd show up at my door with a jar of mayonnaise and a knife.
Just wants to make a sandwich. Did someone just get stabbed?